Hey there everyone, my name is Ashlyn. I'm a fitness and sports instructor at CFB Borden, and today I'm going to take you through another Pilates class. So there's a few other videos on this channel and on our Borden channel that are progressive from beginners Pilates classes up to a little bit more advanced. I'd say today is going to be somewhere in between. So just keep that in mind when you're going through this workout, making sure that you're always moving through a range of motion that feels comfortable and pain-free, and note the difference between muscular work and injury pain. Okay, so there's definitely two different kinds of pain, and just kind of be aware of that as you're going through it, okay? Nothing here should induce any sort of pain, okay? All right, so we're going to get started. We're going to start standing. So come onto your mat, and you're going to take a small step forward with your right foot. So almost like you're taking like a walking step. And then I want you to lean forward onto your forward foot, and then lean back and raise those front toes. Lean forward and lean back. Standing nice and upright. Try not to send your upper body with you as you go from position to position. Keeping nice and tall and just rocking back and forth. So it's a very gentle warm-up. Super easy, probably doesn't feel like there's a ton of muscular work happening. But what I want you to feel is take your hands and place them on the middle of your back. And you should feel the muscles along the spine, especially on the side of the leg that's back, really working, particularly when you lean forward. Okay, so seeing if you can feel those muscles starting to fire up along the edge of your spine. And if you're not feeling it yet, you can do a little bit of a lift with that back leg as you come forward. Just a tiny one. Good. So let's take some deep breaths as we do this. Making sure we're not holding our breath. And if it's not comfortable to keep your hands there anymore, you're welcome to take them down. Just a matter of making sure that you guys can feel that muscular work. Lots of breathing here. Good. You should feel like there's a little bit of work in that back leg starting to happen now through the glute and maybe back of leg. Just a light, gentle warm-up here. We'll go for 3 and 2 and 1. Good, and step back so that you're even. Good, and just shake out those legs. You may feel like you're a little bit more supported on one side versus the other. And if you don't quite feel that difference, no big deal. Now you're going to take a step forward with the other leg, and you're going to do the same thing. So coming up onto those back toes, or raising the foot entirely, and then just up on the heel of the front foot. Just swaying back and forth, staying nice and tall as you do so. And again, if you want to feel the opposite side of those lumbar muscles working now, you can place your hand on the low back, on the side of the leg that's back. And you'll notice that those muscles by the spine are starting to work a little bit. You can feel them tensing up and kind of getting a little bulgy. And remembering to breathe. And really trying to stay upright with your torso. So I'm not leading with my ribs and extending my back. I'm staying nice and tall. My core is engaged at the front just slightly. Good, and if lifting the foot is too much, then don't even bother. Just keep toe and heel on as you sway back and forth. And breathe a few more times. 3 and 2 and 1. And step back to even. And so hopefully you feel a little more supported on both sides now and a little bit more even. From here we're going to step forward in the bigger step with one leg. So go back to the right leg that we started on. So now you're in what would be kind of a lunge position. So if I were to lower down, I'd be going into a lunge. Okay, so you can find the distance that works for you. Arms are going to be down by your side. And as you lunge down towards the floor, your hands will come up to the sky. So we're going to inhale as we lower, exhale to stand and get really tall on both legs. So pushing through back toe, pushing through bottom, front heel. Inhale as arms come up, exhale, arms come down. And if the arm position is just a little bit too challenging for your balance, you can keep your hands by your side. Just making sure you're still breathing in one way and out the other, and really growing tall every time you come up. Good, let's go for 3, and 2, and 1, and stand. Good. Bend that front knee as you lean forward slightly. So now your chest is leaning forward, your back leg is straight. And I want you to push from your front foot to raise that back leg off the floor, and then come down to tap, and lift, and tap. Good. And can you feel like the leg that you're standing on is getting really, really strong and worked within the hip? And then the back leg is working a little bit as you raise it up, squeezing back of leg, back of bum, to lift it up into the sky. And trying to minimize how far forward you lean. You'll lean forward a little bit, that's natural, but try not to bend all the way over like this. And just really swinging your upper body forward. I want you to stay fairly upright and just do a slight lean forward. Good. And can you quiet it even more so that you're barely moving at all, and now you're just tapping. So 3, and 2, and 1. Lean back and step back. Good, so that standing leg should be really fired up right now. Shake it out. And then we're going to switch sides. So stepping forward with that opposite foot now, left foot forward, right foot back. Both legs are fairly straight. You're growing tall through the crown of your head. And we're going to lunge down as our arms come up and stand arms down. Inhaling as arms go up. Exhaling as arms come down. I mixed up that breathing there. Good. Inhale up. Exhale down. Good. Let's go for 3, and 2, and 1. Stand up. Bend that front knee a little bit as you lean forward, and then gently raise the back leg off and lower it down. And raise and lower. Just doing a very gentle shift forward and back. Good. Finding lots of stabilization on that leg. If you need to have something near you like a wall or a partner, or even something like a roller, feel free to have it just to balance a little bit better. On the leg that's lifting, can you squeeze back of leg, back of bum to lift that leg up? And trying not to arch your lower back like that. Okay, staying very flat. Good. And now we're slowly going to start to remove that shift, keeping all of our weight in the front leg, and just lifting and tapping that back leg behind us. So I'm no longer shifting forward and back. There's no weight on my back leg. We're going to go for 3, and 2, and 1. Good, step back, and then bring your leg back to the other one, and shake it out. Whew. Good job, everybody. All right, so we're going to stay standing still. You're going to cross your hands one over the other. I find this is most comfortable. Raise them to the sky, right overhead. If that doesn't work for your shoulders, your hands can just come to your head or across your chest. Okay, so whatever is most comfortable for those shoulders if reaching right overhead is not going to work for you. Otherwise, straight up overhead, and I want you to side bend over to one side and come back upright. And side bend over the other and come upright. Good. Inhale as you come up and over, and exhale as you come back to the middle. Good. If you're doing this with your hands on your head, same idea. Thinking you're kind of a teapot out of that elbow as you bend up and over. Good. And can you do so without shifting your hips over to one side? So they're still staying directly over top of your feet, and you're side bending at your rib cage to bend over, instead of letting your hips shift you over to find that bend. So we're asking the spine and the core to do a little bit more work for this to happen without using those legs. Good, a couple more here. And then just shake your arms out. Good, you can swing them across your chest, or you can swing them in front of you. Good, we're going to reach them back up to the sky if that is comfortable for you. And I want you to keep your hips facing forward in the direction that you're looking, but you're going to rotate the upper body to one side, and then come center. And rotate the other way, and come center. Inhaling as you rotate, exhaling as you come into the middle. Really fighting to keep those hip bones facing forward as you rotate. So you're not rotating your hips with you, which of course will help you get a lot more distance. You're just moving from the upper spine and finding some mobility through there and some stability through the lower spine. Good. A couple more on each side. Inhale to rotate. Exhale, center, last one. And let those arms swing. Good, we're going to put that together just a little bit now. So, if your hands are not going up towards the sky, I just want you to sort of imagine if they're just staying on your chest or your head. But for everyone else who's reaching their arms to the sky, we're going to draw a little circle on the ceiling above us. So, you're going to start the circle, make it nice and small. And again, your lower body is staying very, very still. So we have a little bit of a side bend, and we're flexing forward, and then side bend the other way, and then extending. And can you do it without bringing your hips with you? Okay, so it's just the upper spine, kind of below shoulders and above, that are making this motion happen. You're going to have to draw belly button in to keep that circle without moving your hips, okay, so that we're nice and stable in our core and finding a little bit of mobility. You're only moving through a position that feels comfortable without pain, okay? So if you're going into a range of motion that causes any pain, back off and don't go quite that big with your circle. Good, we're going to switch directions, going the opposite way. Finding that lower belly, drawing in towards your spine as you rotate. Let's go for 3 and 2 and 1. And let your arms relax. Beautiful, very good. All right, I'm going to turn sideways again to the camera. We're going to go back into a lunging position. So stepping forward, you're going to find the distance that works best for you, okay? So I want you to picture that you're in an elevator, which means your upper body's going straight up and straight down, not leaning forward or arching too much and leaning backwards, okay? Core is engaged. You're going to lower down into a lunge, to a position that you feel like you can hold. And if this is not going to happen for you, I want you to come all the way down onto one knee so that we're still a little bit unstable, but you don't have to hold that lunge position quite as much. Okay, so at any point you can switch to that modification. We're going to start in a lunge though. This time hands will be on our head no matter who you are. And you're going to rotate to one side and then the other. And can you keep those hips facing forward and not rotating to open up those hips one way or the other? So hips stay facing forward, knees over toe, and you're rotating from one side to the other, needing lots of stability here. Again, modification, knee comes down, and it's the same thing in both directions. Okay? Let's go one more on each side. Come center and stand up. Beautiful. Before we switch sides, we're going to do a little bit of side bending in that same position. So step back with the same leg you were just working. Okay, same side, same leg forward, same leg back. Come into your lunge, whatever that may be. Hands on your head. And can you push really hard, anchoring with front foot, heel all the way through toe, and back toe. And can you side bend over to one side just slightly without falling over, and side bend over to the other way, and come upright. Side bend over, and side bend the other way. You're doing this on one knee, same thing. Try not to shift your hips from one side to the other to make this happen. Good, let's go for 3, 2, and 1, and stand up. Whew. Shake out those legs. Good job, guys. We'll switch sides and go to the other leg. So stepping forward with your left foot, or whatever the opposite one is for you. This time, hands on your head. You're going to lower down into a lunge that you can hold and begin your rotation. So rotating in towards the front knee and then rotating away from it. And in towards the front knee and away from it. Really anchoring with the front of that foot and the back toe and staying as tall as possible. Trying not to lean forward or arch your lower back as you do so, okay? One more in each direction. Good, and then stand up and shake it out. Good, we just got our side bends on this. And then we're going to come down to the ground and stop standing. You all are doing really, really well. All right, so step back, same side, same leg. Come down into the lunge that you can hold. Thinking of that elevator, straight down, anchoring through front foot, back toes. And can you be a teapot as you pour some water out of one elbow and come upright? And then go the other side. Use your breath here to help you pull yourself upright. And feel the lower part of your core on the side and lower belly to help you come upright. One more time in each direction. And stand up. Good job, everybody. My legs are screaming, so I hope yours are too. Shake them out. If you have some water with you, feel free to grab some, and then we're going to come down onto our mat on our backs. So in this position, you're going to start lying on your back. Knees are bent. Feet are flat on the floor. And hands are just going to be down by your side, okay? If this is extremely uncomfortable for your neck and you feel like you're sort of popped up, you can put your head on a little bit of a pillow, so like a very, very thin one if you need, but I want you to try to do it without it, only if it's super uncomfortable otherwise. Okay, can you take your fingers and find your bony hip bones right at the front of your hips, kind of right around your waistline of your pants, or just under. And I want you to think about pushing those hip bones away from you so that you get extra space under your lower back, okay? And then can you pull those hip bones towards you so that you decrease that space, and now you can barely put your fingers underneath your lower back, but hips are still on the ground, okay? So push those hip bones away and pull those hip bones towards you. Good, and start to feel a little bit of a rhythm with them. Moving one way and the other. Feet are heavy on the ground. Pelvis is heavy on the ground. Back is heavy, head is heavy. Okay, and once you feel like you've got the rhythm, you no longer need to have your hands on your hip bones. It's just for demonstration to kind of get the feel for it. And moving through those two positions through a range of motion that is comfortable. There should be no impingement in the lower spine at all. No impingement in the hip. So make the motion smaller if you're feeling any of those things. Take a deep breath in one direction and out the other. Good, really allowing your body to relax into this position and find a little bit more mobility. And now continuing with this motion, I want you to take the weight out of your feet. So they're not going to lift off the ground, but they are going to become weightless, almost like you could barely touch the floor with them. And notice what that does to your lower belly, having to continue with this tilting, but no longer having your feet to help you on the ground. You should feel like it's a lot more core work, a lot more abs. Good job, everybody. Keep breathing through it. And 3, and 2, and 1, and come into the middle position of both, and you could get your feet heavy on the ground again. All right, good job, everybody. So before we move out of this position, we're going to take our attention to our legs. So keeping these hip bones nice and level, you can bring your hands back if you'd like, so they're even with one another right now, or hopefully. Can you lift one leg up off the ground without ruining that unevenness? So if my hips fall towards the leg I've lifted, then they're no longer even, right? So I need to find my lower belly to do that. And then lower that leg down. We're going to switch sides and lift the other leg up and lower. Good, and switch sides. And if your hands are on your hip bones, you should be able to feel if they become uneven. So the pressure will come out of one of them as the hip lifts. And you may feel like they tilt to one side. So in order to prevent that, can you draw your lower belly in and keep it nice and sturdy as you lift and lower these legs? Good. So it's not a super big motion, but if I did it without thinking and I just lifted it up, then there's no core activation and there's no stability, right? So if I do it with a little bit more focus, I really have to keep that pelvis still, and my body has to work a little bit harder to do so. We're going to do 2 more on each leg. And last one. And settle. Beautiful. Good work, guys. You can ease off both feet on the ground. Pelvis is still heavy. Hands are going to come to the ceiling and fingertips come together, palms together. You're going to rotate those hands over to one side without letting them come apart from one another and without letting your elbows bend. Okay, so your shoulders have to come with you. You're finding a little bit of mobility in the spine, and then come center and switch sides. Your head can come with you as well. It doesn't have to stay at the ceiling. And as you move through these positions,
And you keep your knees really still. So I don't want to see them falling with you. I want the knees and the pelvis to stay very, very still. And just your upper spine is moving. Good. Last one on each side. Arms are straight, fingertips stay together at all times. And come center. Beautiful. With your hands now, can you draw an infinity sign on the ceiling? So your shoulders will come with you a little bit. This is a much smaller movement than we were just doing. Hopefully it feels kind of nice on your spine to move in this direction a little bit. Taking lots of deep breaths. Good. And then we're going to switch directions. So going the other way. We'll go 3 and 2 and 1. Good, and bring your arms back down to your side and take a couple deep breaths lying in this position. Good. From here, you're going to interlace your fingers and put them behind your head. Your elbows are going to lift off the floor just a little bit so you can see them in the corner of your eyes. Can you nod your chin for me? And with your exhale, curl yourself up into a crunch position. And then inhale, come back down. Easy. Exhale, elbows lift and curl. And come down. Curl up with your exhale. And come down. Good. One more. Curl up with your exhale. Pause here for me. Take a look at those hip bones that we were playing with before. And are they even from side to side? Or do you feel like they're tilting from one side to the other? Also, do you feel like your pubic bone is being pulled towards your head? Or can you reach it between your feet a little bit so that your pelvis is heavy? Okay, so it's hard to see, I realize, on the camera, but if I'm tucked like this, my hips are almost off the floor, and my core is not really working as hard. But if I reach my pubic bone away and my hip bone's away and I get really heavy on my pelvis, then my core has to work a lot harder in order to keep this, and I'm much more supported and safe. All right? So we're going to stay up in this position. You're reaching your elbows really high, getting heavy, heavy, heavy on the pelvis. And breathe for me. And 3, and 2, and 1, and come all the way down. Beautiful. All right. We're going to bring one leg into tabletop here, head down, and then the other. And I want you to flex your feet and bring them both together. And then can you turn your toes outward so that your heels stay together? So if I was looking at the camera, my feet would be in a little bit of a frog position. Okay? So toes are turned out, heels are squeezing together, hands are down on the mat, head is down on the mat. And you're going to reach your feet together as you go towards the sky, and then bend them back. And reach to the sky, and bend back. Reach and bend. Reach and bend. Good, and really focus on keeping those heels together and not letting them come apart. So not letting them pull apart at any point of this motion. You should feel like the inside of your thighs have to work a little bit to make this motion happen, as well as outside of quads, potentially glutes, depending on who you are. Let's go 3, and 2, and 1. Bend your knees, bring your feet back to parallel, and lower your feet down. Excellent work, guys. Reach those legs long. Hands are going to stay down by your side. I want you to nod your chin, and you're going to start curling up as you reach your hands long to your sides. and then just come back down. Nod your chin and reach those hands along, almost like you're trying to touch your feet, and come down. Nod your chin, crunch up as you reach hands long, and lower. One more time, reach long, and hold. Beautiful. Good, you're gonna lift one leg up, and then the other leg up. And lift, and lift. And now that you can see your hip bones in this position, because your head is lifted, can you notice if they stay still or if they rock from one side to the other? It's hard to tell on the camera, but for example, when I lift my left leg, I have a really hard time not dropping my hip bone as well. And I have to work very, very hard to tell my body not to do that. Good job, everybody. Switching leg to leg. Belly button draws in. Let's go 3, and 2, and 1, and come all the way back down. Very good work. Arms are going to come to the ceiling. You're going to nod your chin and begin to curl yourself up. And now your arms are here to help you a little bit. Can you squeeze those legs together, just like we did when we had our heels together? And squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as you come all the way up. And I'm going to shift back just a little bit so I'm fully on the mat. And if you didn't get up this time and you had to help yourself up, that's absolutely no problem. I'm going to sit up really tall on your sitting bones, arms in front of you. And without tucking your tail and falling off of those sitting bones, can you reach forward, finding a little bit of hollowness in your lower belly, and really reaching arms long. Good, and I want you to reach a little further and come back. And reach, come back. And can you do it without moving your pelvis too much? Trying to keep it nice and still, and just the upper body is moving. 3, and 2, and 1, and come all the way up. Really good. All right. We're going to come back onto our backs, feet flat on the floor. Hands are down by your side. And before you move at all, can you just push your shoulders and your hands into the floor a little bit, and then release them. And then push them into the floor, and release. And push, and release. And push, and release. And do you notice when you're pushing that you get a little bit of activation along the sides of your body and maybe your lower abs? So pay attention to that as you push into the floor, and then release, and push, and release. Good. This time you're going to push and hold that pressure. It's only about a 50-60% pressure. You don't have to be pushing with all your might. And from there, you're going to lift your hips up into a bridge. Good. Keep pushing your hands, but lower your hips down. And lift your hips. Arms are still pressing. And lower hips. Lift those hips. Keep arms pressed. Lower hips. Keeps arms pressed. So remember to push from your shoulder, not just your hand. 3, and 2, and 1. Lift hips and hold. Release the pressure in your arms and notice how you kind of lose a little bit of stability. Now push those arms in with the hips up and release the pressure on the arms, hips stay up. So just notice the change in stability that you have when you're not supporting yourself with your arms and your upper back versus when you are. Let's go for 3, press, release, and 2, press, and release, and 1, press, and release and come all the way back down. Beautiful. All right, so you're gonna sit up for me. Actually, we're gonna stand. I'm gonna stand one last time, and then I promise we're done standing. All right, so standing on your mat, being nice and tall, hips are pushing forward, okay? So we're not leaning forward one way or leaning back, okay? We're standing nice and tall. I want you to nod your chin and start to roll down only as far as you can go without having to change your hips, okay? So rolling down, this is about as far as I can get with my spine. If I were to go any further, I would have to change in my pelvis and my lumbar, okay? So nod your chin, reach down, keeping hips really stable, and come up. And reach down, and come up. And you should feel, it's almost like you're doing a crunch in the air. So you should feel your upper core really working right by your ribs. Let's go for 3. Good. And 2. And 1. Curl. And then you're going to let yourself curl all the way towards the floor. So you don't have to touch the ground. It doesn't matter if you can or you can't. But I do want your weight to be right over top of your heels. So notice if I put, right over top of your feet. If I put my feet back and my weight back in my heels, then you can tell that my legs are not at 90 degrees or at vertical. So I'm going to put my weight a little bit further forward. So I'm right over top of those toes. Okay, arms are hanging down by your side. If you can touch the floor, you may need to make a fist here. Okay, and I want you to curve your spine as you tuck your belly in and then release. And curve your spine and release. Almost like you have a string in your lower back and it's pulling you towards the sky and then releasing. And pulling you up towards the sky and release. Exhale as you tuck your tail and release. Good, you should feel like the backs of your legs are starting to work to hold you here in this position. Nice, and one more, you're going to hold that tucked position. So that string is really pulling from your lower back to the sky. The rest of your body is hanging. Your lower abs are active. And can you come up onto your tippy toes and lower down? And up onto the tippy toes and down. Got lots of breathing here. Find lots of stability. Hamstrings are really working. And you're really, really tucked here. 2 more. Last one, feet go down, and then roll yourself all the way back up. Good, and just roll your shoulders back. You can walk it out with those feet. Good, and come back down onto the mat. All right, guys, this is what we've been working up towards. So lie down for me. Legs are straight, arms are going to be down by your side. And just get settled for a moment in this position. Arms are going to come to the sky. You're going to nod your chin. Bring those legs together so that you can squeeze the feet together as you need. And start to curl yourself up slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, and really squeeze those feet together as you get stuck and come up to seated. Good. From there, you're going to tuck your tail, roll yourself down slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, squeezing those feet together. Good. And can you do it as smooth as possible? Nod your chin, begin to curl yourself up. And sit tall, and rock back, and lower down. And we're going to do 2 more, guys. Nod your chin, reach up, Tuck, tuck, tuck your belly. Squeeze your legs together. Come all the way tall. Tuck your tail and slowly roll yourself back down to the floor. Good, last one here. Nod your chin. Squeeze those legs together as you begin to peel yourself up off the mat and come seated. Good, and then tuck your tail and roll yourself all the way back down. Beautiful, hands can come down by your side. All right, now there's a few options here. We'll go through the different steps and you stick with the one that you feel challenges you the most. So, knees are bent, arms are down by your side. You're going to bring one leg into tabletop and then the other. Nod your chin and reach your hands long, but hands can stay on the floor. So I'm drawing them down towards my feet, but palms are still flat. Now you're going to reach your legs straight, and as you do so, reach your arms straight and come up to a V-up. Good. Bend your knees, hands come down to the floor. As you lower yourself back down, knees can come to your chest. Curl up as you reach your legs away and reach up into a V. Bend your knees, hands come down to the floor, and knees come to your chest. Very good. Give them a hug. All right, that's version number 1. Here, version number 2, you're going to start with legs straight, nod your chin, reach up as your legs lower straight, and you pull yourself up. Good, and lower down, and bring legs down. Good, you can also raise them from the floor first, so you can lift them up. And come up, come down, and then lower legs to the floor. Okay? Last one here, legs stay on the ground, hands stay on the ground. And you nod your chin, and as you start to curl and reach arms long, legs come up to the sky. Good job, everybody. Give me one more of whichever version you want to try the most or you feel most capable at. We're going to do the last one all together. Okay? However you find is easiest for you. You're going to nod your chin either way and begin to curl yourself up, getting into that V-up sit. Hold it there for an extra breath. Lower down with control. Try not to collapse for me. Ooh, and relax. Good job, everybody. Shake those legs out. Bring those knees back to bent, feet flat, and just rock your knees from side to side. Good job, everybody. Take those feet a little bit wider than they just were and rock them again from side to side. Good, and when you're ready, you can roll over onto your side. Knees are going to stay bent. Arm is going to be out in front of you at shoulder height. Head is kind of relaxed on the floor. It's a little awkward. If you do have a towel or a sweater, you can put it under. Other hand on top. And you're going to pull an imaginary bow back behind you as you reach out to a T on the floor. And then follow that same trajectory back to your hand. Out, really trying to breathe through this position, especially if it feels really tight. Hopefully it feels like we've loosened it up in all the other work we did, but if it's still quite tight in this position, just take lots of deep breaths. Good, last one on this side. And when you're finished, you can push yourself up into seated before we switch sides to the other side. Cross your legs if that's comfortable. If it's not, you can just bend them in front of you. And place both hands over top of your chest, cross one another. Raise your elbows just slightly. Can you hunch your back like you're the hunchback?
And I want you to just do a little kayak with your arms, nice and gentle. Relax. Hands are going to come to your shoulders like chicken wings. I want you to do big circles forward with those chicken wings. And big circles backwards. Good. And then you're going to lay on that opposite side. Knees are bent beside you, or in front of you rather. Hands on top of one another, head relaxed. And then you want to pull that bow and arrow back, come to a T, and follow the same movement all the way back to your hand. Okay, going through about 3 or 4 on this side. Hopefully it feels really good. Remember to take deep breaths, especially if it's tight in that T position. And I'm going to do one more. When you've finished, you can come on up, back to seated, and you are all done. Really good job today, guys. That was not easy. I know it was probably a little slower than maybe what you were expecting or used to perhaps in a typical workout class, but I hope that you feel like you got something out of it. I hope you feel supported through your core and through your body, and not so wobbly, a little bit more stability, but then also looser through the thoracic spine and through that upper back. If you have any questions about the class, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll be sure to check them out and get back to you, okay? Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, I'm sure, for another video.